Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And today, we're going to tell you about two spooky games because it's October.
Yeah, these two. That's the Spirit and Club Spooky.
Oh.
Both these games are designed by Connor Wake and they're published by Always Awake Games, who help sponsor this video.
They're also coming to crowdfunding, so if you want to learn more about these games, check out the links down below. But you probably want to learn more about these games now, so we're going to tell you about them. Starting off with, That's the Spirit. Now, in That's the Spirit, we have all died.
What?
And one of us is to blame.
Ah.
But who is it? I don't remember what happened.
I also don't remember what happened.
So we'll have to play some cards and figure it out, all in 5 minutes.
What? Well, let's jump to the table and learn how this game works.
That's the Spirit is played over 3 rounds, each being 5 minutes. At the start of the game, you'll choose the 3 causes of deaths you'd like to play with. Each comes with a deck that varies in card distribution and will impact your gameplay in different ways. Now, at the start of every round, you'll shuffle and deal out a hand of cards, and form the evidence deck face down in the center. The cause of death is a suit in the evidence deck with the highest sum, while the culprit is a player who has the highest sum of the cause of death suit in their hand. The catch? The only information you have are the cards in your hand. Before you flip the timer, you'll answer 2 questions. What's the least likely to be the cause of death, and why can't you be the culprit? Now, to give you an example, if this is my hand, I may say the least likely cause of death is sadly drowned, since I have a lot of these cards in my hand, meaning they're less likely to be in the evidence deck. And once everyone's done answering that, why I cannot be the culprit is because I have so many of these sadly drowned cards in my hand. It can't be me. Now, once everyone has answered these questions, you'll start the timer. Here you'll talk, asking for information, theorizing on who you may think it is, and even accuse other players of being the culprit by shifting the sand timer in front of them. The only rule for accusing is once the sand timer is in front of you, you're not able to accuse anyone, meaning you cannot move the sand timer from yourself. While chatting, you can fib or tell the truth. However, you may never reveal your cards unless instructed to do so by an ability, which brings us to playing cards. There'll be eye tokens in the middle of the table. The amount of these tokens corresponds to how many cards can be played in that round. At any point, anyone can play a card from their hand face up and use the ability by taking an eye token and placing it onto the card. The cards played still count towards the calculation at the end of the round to determine if you are the culprit. You cannot lie if asked a question through an ability. Abilities will generally give information to other players about what's in other players' hands and what's in the evidence deck, bringing you one step closer to figuring out what really happened. Once the 5 minutes is up, you'll reveal the evidence deck, determine the cause of death, and who the culprit is. If you correctly as a table accuse the culprit's soul is partially burned with spirit fire. While if you got it wrong, everyone but the culprit, or culprits if there's a tie, soul is consumed by spirit fire. At the end of the round, you'll remove one of the causes of death and its corresponding cards, and cycle in a new one with a new set of cards. You'll shuffle the new deck and repeat. At the end of the 3rd round, the player with the most intact soul wins.
And that's the Spirit.
Now let's talk about some of the key features in this game. The first one being the obvious one, the hidden traitor aspect.
Not so obvious if you ask me, mostly because you're hidden. And sometimes you don't even know. So you're kind of like stuck guessing whether or not you could be the traitor or somebody else around the table could be the traitor. And the fun part about that is when you are trying to do that, like deducing around the table, you kind of also have to be very wary of you're the possible traitor.
You are the possible traitor.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll have a lot of a certain type of suit in your hand, and you may not want to share that right away, or you may not want to hint to it too much, because all of a sudden, you are the traitor because no one else has that suit. Yeah. So they immediately assume that is the evidence. And I think I like that element a lot, of that dynamic of you don't really know until someone says something and you begin to catch on, and all of a sudden you're sitting there and you realize, oh no, I am the culprit. I am the one who did this. So I have to try to shift blame to somebody else. Tyler, you said you have a 4 of this card. It has to be you.
How do I know you're telling the truth?
It has to be you.
And because you can't move the timer from your position, you have to, you really do have to convince the people around the table that you are not the traitor and that it needs to be moved.
I think that's one of the most clever aspects of this game.
That you can't move it?
That you cannot, because I feel like that's such a clever, unique way to do that
Well,
I've not seen in other games.
Everybody would just be throwing
your own,
the thing around, like the timer around. So I think it's like a very intentional game design. Yeah,
for sure. The other aspect of this game is that it's quick.
Yeah, the timer is 5 minutes. That's it.
And you may be daunted at first. You may not know what questions to ask, when to lie, what to do. But through those 5 minutes, you will learn through that mechanism. The first time that we played this game, it took us until the third round where we really understood, okay, this is how the game is played and this is how we want to proceed forward. And it was really cool to see that evolution of the game.
Yeah. It's also one of those games too where because you're learning as you go and because it's like a social deduction game, you have these things that are around that are growing with the table. The vibe check of the table can be completely different. Maybe you do have somebody who is super loud, super aggressive when it comes to trying to make sure that they're known as not the traitor. Maybe that is a tell because they're not often like that. You know how it is. It really does depend on the people that you play with for this.
Silly, silly culprits. And last but certainly not least, there are different suits that you can play with. Different causes of death, which sometimes you just die of boredom.
Yes. I mean, that is one of the cards, so...
Yeah. That's what happens.
I actually think that's the best card because it's all just evenly played out.
Yeah, so you don't really know because all the cards have a different amount of the numbers. So if you have a lot of high cards in your hand, you may think that that's not the cause of death. But some of the suits really twist that on their head. And each of the cards also has abilities.
Yes.
That you can play to really flush out information throughout the table, which makes each of the rounds a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. And those abilities help you or they help the entire table. So it's really interesting to see like all of that come together. And the timing of when you decide to use them is quite interesting. Especially because you're limited in the number of ones that you're allowed to use like as an entire table. And, yeah.
So you could be greedy and use them all. But maybe don't do that because then all your information,
your entire hand.
Yeah, it's all there. But that's the spirit. Should we go party some at Club Spooky now?
You mean this one right here?
Exactly.
Now in Club Spooky, you'll be heading on over to the club to make sure you have the coolest ghouls around in your clique. You're going to need strong talking points and you're going to need to use them wisely in order to recruit some awesome ghouls to your group.
And some randos as well.
Of course.
Let's jump to the table and let's learn how this one works. Club Spooky is played over 3 rounds. Each round you'll use talking points to recruit creatures to join your clique, aiming to collect goals and meeting those goals within your clique. Goals will ask for a minimum or a specific trait, a combo of traits, creatures with specific traits, or creatures with specific complexity, which refers to the amount of traits they have. At the start of each round, you'll assemble a deck of VIPs and randos and have them join the lobby of Club Spooky, getting ready to join your clique or go to the dance floor. On your turn, you'll socialize, aiming to recruit creatures to your clique. When socializing, you'll most often talk up to 2 creatures in the lobby. You'll do this by using your talking points, placing 1 on any empty creature cards. Or, if any cards have your opponent's talking points and you wish to talk to that creature, you'll need to place exactly 1 more than what they have there. Your opponent's talking points will then return back to their supply once you've placed yours. Now, you don't immediately recruit creatures. You'll have to wait until the start of your next turn. If any creatures have your talking points on them at the start of your turn, you'll collect them into your clique. Now at this point, if any creatures are adjacent to the dance floor without talking points, they'll proceed to the dance floor, as they then strike up any conversations to stay in the lobby. And that's the general process of recruiting creatures from the lobby. Every time creatures are removed from the lobby, either by being recruited to your clique or moving to the dance floor, you'll draw new cards to fill the lounge to the capacity. Additionally, instead of talking to creatures in the lobby, or when the crowd settles down, you can socialize by leaving for the dance floor. You'll place all your remaining talking points on a creature on the dance floor and immediately have them join your clique. With no talking points remaining, you are done for the round. Now the round ends if either everyone is out of talking points or there are no more creatures in the lobby. At this point, you'll return your talking points from creatures collected back to your notebook, discard any creatures left on the dance floor if any, collect additional talking points and add them to your notebook, and pass the first player marker to the next player so you can begin the next round. You'll keep playing recruiting creatures until the end of the 3rd round. Then, you'll score. First, you'll evaluate your picky creatures, as if their conditions have not been met, they will leave your clique. Then, you'll score points for each of the ghouls in your clique that have met their condition. You'll compare your score, and the player with the most points wins.
And that's Club Spooky. Now let's talk about some of the highlights.
Some of the highlights.
I mean, I think I immediately have to talk about the amazing VIP cards. The alliteration on point.
I think every one of them, I just want to be their friend.
I know.
I want all of them to be part of my clique, especially Bill the Bubble.
Bill the Bubble. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
But I think that's what really makes this game shine, is the variety of personalities that really come out on the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Every time a card is revealed in the lounge, the whole table almost stops and be like, who is that? Mm-hmm. The heads have been turned, the talking points have been catered, we are ready to potentially recruit them. Maybe we're not interested, who knows?
I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about gameplay, but what I will say is at the end of the game, it is also really fun to look at the clique that you've created and kind of put them in their little boxes of how they may interact or like why it works, why the clique works so well. I think that was a lot of fun that we did at the end of each game.
We did that too. Just like, this makes sense. Yeah. All of these look like they would be friends and part of a clique. And my clique is better than yours.
Well, we don't know about that. That's why I scored more than you, so I'm better.
But let's talk about some of the mechanics.
Yeah.
The talking points aspect is really interesting because you're essentially placing talking points and hoping that other players are not interested in the same creatures as you.
Yes.
Because if they are, they'll place more talking points, and you're kind of like having this bidding action going on to see who will convince the creature to come over to your clique.
Exactly. And I mean, as long as it can make it all the way back around to you, you'll be able to get that card. But the thing about that is there's an interesting little push mechanic that is going to be happening with you and your people you're playing against. And you can use that to your advantage, but you can also get stuck with maybe something you don't like. Sure. So if somebody really wants one of those cards, you can bump it up and then wait for them to use their things on the next time around.
You were doing that?
Maybe. Maybe I was.
I was just collecting the ghouls that I wanted.
A lot of the times I was just collecting the ones that I wanted, so they happen to overlap, but it is fun to play that game.
And there's a little bit of take that as well, and the conversation at the table is really funny, which I think really mimics the theme of Club Spooky, because I was talking to this person, what do you mean you're now bribing them with your story about how you ate an arm of ants?
Or how amazing all 8 of their arms look.
Exactly.
Who knows?
So many different things. What's neat too is that you get more talking points from round to round.
Yes.
So by the end of the round 3, you have all of the tokens, and you're just talking away, aiming to collect as many creatures as you can. Or not as many.
The right ones.
Exactly. To help fit your goals.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like what's also really, really nice about this bidding push thing is like you do get the tokens back, and there's not like a way to lose them except for when you've paid for the card that you've drafted. So that's always a bonus. And then to Ilya's point is you are starting to finally realize what your strategy is as you go further along into the rounds, which makes you much more pickier with who you are inviting into your group.
And I will say, make sure you get some of those scoring cards early on.
Yes.
Because you do want to figure out how you can get the best score. And if you have all creatures with just straights, you're not going to score a lot of points.
And not to mention the ones that go away if you don't have
the picky creatures.
Yeah, exactly. So not only do you start getting more picky, you have picky people in your group, and you need to make sure they're satisfied or they'll leave. Which means you'll also leave behind the symbols. And that could really get funky with some of your scoring.
Yeah, you thought you had it? You didn't. Because that is Club Spooky.
Exactly.
And it goes till 3 a.m.
It goes till 3 a.m.
Or maybe 4 a.m.
That's when we party till.
That is. And then you take your clique of ghouls, and then you go on an adventure, and then you accidentally die. And you have to figure out who and what was the cause.
Hey, that's the spirit.
That's the 2 games that we talked about today. Club Spooky and That's the Spirit. They're both coming to crowdfunding, so if you want to learn more about them, hit that link in the description. And you can ask us questions in the comments, because we'd be happy to chat about any of these games and tell you about the stories of all these colorful creatures and Club Spooky.
Exactly. And of course, let us know which one stood out to you the most. Which one are you looking forward to playing? Maybe it's both, because we really enjoyed both of them.
And for our question of the day today, if you were a creature of the night, of the spookies, what type of creature would you be?
Yeah, what type of creature would you be?
That'd be something cool.
Let us know down in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, because we love talking board games.
And hit that little bell, because then you know when our next videos come out and we can all partake in the joy of board gaming.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you
in the next one. Bye!